cyber hygiene and best practices. Now you know the threats, right? You know what cybersecurity is. You know the threats that we have to face in cybersecurity. But what can you do to protect yourself, or what can you do as an organization to protect your network from hackers? The first thing we can do is we can use a strong password and authentication system. Use a long, complex password. Example, a password that has over 12 characters with a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. Right? When you use a long password, it is difficult for attackers to guess the kind of password that you are using, especially when you have it mixed with numbers and symbols, special characters. It is difficult for attackers to be able to guess. So, for example, if I have to use a password, if I use something like, let's say my name is John, if I use like John123 versus using something like John underscore ampersand Smith greater than symbol and a mixed character, which one do you think will be difficult for an attacker to be able to crack? Which one is more difficult? Is it the one with mixed characters, or the one that simply has my name and with some numbers attached to it? Which one will be difficult?
Obviously the one with the mixed characters.
Yes, the one with mixed characters is very difficult for an attacker to be able to guess. And also, the reason why you have to use mixed characters is because attackers will not only use their minds to guess, they will use special softwares, as you learn in subsequent videos and trainings, that there are special software that are used for password cracking. We have Hydra, we have John the Ripper, and there are so many of them that are used for. There are special tools that are used for password cracking. So this password can, if you have a password that is simple, even if an attacker cannot guess that password, those softwares will crack it within minutes. Sometimes within seconds, they will just crack the password and will reveal it. So you have to make sure you use a password that is long and complicated for even for those systems to crack. If I use a password that is pretty long and mixed with symbols and numbers, it can take, sometimes it can even take days for that system to be able to that password to be able to crack, and it makes the job harder for the attacker to do, right? In contrast, if you have a simple password, an attacker will simply use few minutes with that software and crack the system, and they're already into your network. So that is one important thing you should. This is not only for companies, it's for personal use also. If you have your social media accounts, if you want to use a password, especially you are sharing sensitive data, sensitive information on that account, or you are using it for something that is very important to you and you don't want hackers to be able to take advantage of it, you make sure you use a very secure password. So the next thing is you have to avoid using the same password for multiple accounts. Some of us use the same password and me, I'm very guilty of that. I have to say that because I've done that before. We are using Instagram, we are using Twitter, which is now X, and we are using Facebook, and we are using the same password for this. It's because it's easy to remember one password. If you have multiple passwords, it's kind of hard to remember different passwords. So, but the thing is, it is risky for us. There's a lot of risk involved in using the same password for multiple accounts, right? So the general rule for cybersecurity professionals is that you have to use one password for one account. So if you're using Facebook, for example, you have to use one password for Facebook, and then Instagram, you are using another password for Instagram, right? And then if you're using Twitter, for example, you're using a different password. That makes it harder for hackers to be able to gain advantage of your system, because if a hacker is able to hack into your Facebook account, if they're able to lay their hands on your password to your Facebook account, they will not be able to have access to your Instagram and your Twitter. But if you're using the same password for all three accounts, so if an attacker is able to crack that password, then they have access to everything. right? Some of us even use our Google account passwords on. We also use it for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if an attacker is able to break into your Google account and they have access to your Google account, that means they will also have access to everything that every platform that you're using. So you have to use different passwords for different accounts. Another security measure is enabling multi-factor authentication wherever possible. If you have the possibility, use multi-factor authentication. What is multi-factor authentication? Say if I want to log into my Facebook account, right? I will go into Facebook. I have to put in my password, my name, and my password. Now, Facebook will have to check their database to see if this name that I'm providing and the password I'm providing is actually correspond in their database. If it corresponds, then Facebook is going to give me access to my account, right? Now, if Facebook gives me direct access to my account because I've simply provided my password, that is a single factor authentication. That is known as single factor authentication. Multiple factor authentication is where Facebook validates your password and your name, but then they have to send you a code, a verification code, to your mobile phone or to your email, right? That code can be any number. Usually it's 4 to 6 digits. So they send that verification code to your mobile phone. Me, I usually use it, send it to my mobile phone, my mobile number. So you will use that code and input the code somewhere on the app. When you're able to input that code, then Facebook knows that you are the one that is actually trying to get into your account. Then they will give you access to your account. That is called two-factor authentication. So you're authenticating with your password and your name, and then the second authentication method is the OTP, one-time password, or the code that they send to your mobile phone or to your email, and you input to further confirm that you are actually the person that you claim to be, and then they'll give access to your account. That's two-factor authentication. You're using your password and you're using a code. Now, multiple factor authentication can go from two-factor to maybe 3, 4 methods of authentication. You can ask for your password, send you a code to verify, and then they can ask you to authenticate with a fingerprint, and so on, and many other methods. Sometimes they even use ask you to do a camera, a face recognition to be able to get into your system. So that's known as multi-factor authentication. Two-factor, one thing you have to remember is multi-factor is when it is from 2 upwards, right? Or 3 upwards. When it's more than 2, is multi-factor. When it is 2-step verification, it is two-factor. Two-factor authentication. Okay, I hope that is clear. Let's move on to the next one. Use a password manager to store and generate strong passwords. There are applications, and lately we were talking about why you should not use the same password for multiple accounts. Now you have to create multiple passwords for different accounts. How do you manage them? We end up forgetting. Do you have to write it somewhere? Writing your password somewhere is not a good practice in cybersecurity, which we are going to talk about that in subsequent videos. You don't want to write your password somewhere because other people can get access to it. Even on your online accounts, you don't have to want to put your password somewhere, because in my Google account, for example, if I put the password to my different other accounts, what happens is that if somebody breaks into my Google account, they do have access to all the passwords that I have for the different accounts that I operate. It's not a good practice. So we have to make sure we find a way to manage those passwords so that you don't end up forgetting them. That is where password managers come in. There are different password managers that you can use, softwares that you can use to manage your passwords. They will help to keep record of your password, and they will help you automatically sign into different applications when you want to. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. We'll discuss about them in another video. Keep softwares and system updated. This is another best practice that you need to keep in mind. Regularly update your operating system, applications, and software. Some of us have a computer that we normally do not even care about updating. When Microsoft, let me take for Microsoft for example, because most of us are using Microsoft Office for as a Microsoft as our operating system. And what happens is that Microsoft is always pushing out updates. Updates are patches to vulnerabilities. If they are pushing out an update, it's because they've realized that there's a vulnerability somewhere in the system and they need to patch it. So those softwares, those updates are known as patches. So if you fail to update, that means your system will be vulnerable. If you fail to update, your system will be vulnerable, which is why you have to keep updating your operating system regularly. If you have applications that you install on that operating system, you have to make sure that those applications are updated regularly. Whenever there's an update available, make sure you update. And your firmware. So you have to keep updating your system whenever updates come out. You can set your system to give you a notification, or you can even set your system to update automatically. When any updates is available, they will automatically update when you are connected to the internet. So the next one is to enable automatic updates. Just like I've said here, if you enable automatic updates to ensure you're protected against vulnerabilities, because like I said before, an update is simply a patch, right? An update is simply a patch to a vulnerability. So if there's an update available, that means there's a vulnerability somewhere that has been identified. If you fail to update, then you will be vulnerable. Keep your antivirus and anti-malware tools updated. It's still the same thing we are talking about, updating. You need to have an antivirus on your computer, even if it's a free antivirus, right? A good one would be, so you can install something like the free version of let me see guys, let's go to the internet and see, check something. I think Malwarebytes is a good one that you can download. Okay, you can download a software, an antivirus or anti-malware software that you install on your system, on your computer, and on your mobile device, just to make sure that you monitor your system for malwares and adware. It's a free virus scanner. This is Malwarebytes. This is the official website. It's a free malware scanner that you can use. You can download it for free and you can install that on your computer or even on your phone, right, to monitor your system. So if you have a system that is monitored, you don't have a malware, an antivirus or anti-malware, I think by the end of this video you should go to the internet and download something, even if it's the free version, and install it and start monitoring your computer or your system. So I was waiting for that thing to load. Free antivirus download free antivirus software to scan and detect viruses on your device. Remove and protect all devices from viruses and malware with our free antivirus. Malwarebytes, free for Windows, Mac, Android. So you see guys, you don't have any excuse. This is free. You simply click on the download button and it will download to your system, then you install it. I think I'm going to make another video on this one also. Guys, if you ever find something that you want to learn how to do, like maybe installing a particular software or how a particular software functions, you can always leave your questions in the group chat and we'll program it to make a video for it. So you can download this malware scanner and install it on, if you're using Windows, you can download from Windows, you can download for Mac, and then you can also download for Android device. and then you can install that and monitor your system. We are going to make a video sometime in the future where you actually download this malware byte and install it, configure it to monitor our system. Okay, let's go ahead. Another thing that we have to do is to make sure that you keep your antivirus and anti-malware tools updated. Once you have that installed and configured to monitor your system, you have to keep updating. You have to keep up with the updates also, because if you fail to update it, then you will not have the patches, and the antivirus might not be able to detect some threats. It might not be able to, since it's not updated. You might not be able to detect some threats that are recently developed in the community. So you have to make sure you keep updating, because if a new threat comes out, the malware company, the people who there will try to bring an update to fight that recently discovered threat. So if you don't have that updated, your software might not be able to detect that threat. So you make sure you update always. Now let's go to the next slide.
The screen share is not on, so most of the things you say, I get what you're saying, yes, but I don't see if for the demonstration should be.
You mean you are not seeing my screen?
Yes. Each time you lost a session, you lost the screen sharing. So when you come back, you have to reconnect or
Yeah,
share the screen.
so you have to let me know whenever you stop seeing my screen. All right, so let me see.
Okay.
Let me make sure that my screen is still shared. Okay, is that okay? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
where did I what was the last thing I said before the screen went off?
You were demonstrating the free how to download and install the free file this thing
Okay, malware byte.
uh, malware byte.
Yes. I was saying you can actually download this. It's free. You can download that and install it on your system. You can download it for Windows, Mac, or Android, depending on the kind of device that you are using, the system that you're using. When you install that on your system, you can configure that to monitor your system. It's free. It's totally free. So there's no reason why we should not be able to download and install this. So when you have that installed, like I said before, we are going to have another session in the future where we actually download and install this malware on a computer and configure it, so that everybody will get to know exactly what they are supposed to do and how they are supposed to configure it. But that will be in the future. But you should download this now, just install on your system. It should be able to monitor your system and tell you what exactly is happening on your system. If there's a malware, it's going to detect that and it's going to be able to help you take it out. So okay, let's go to the next thing, which is we have to be wary of phishing attacks, right? Another way to stay safe is to pay attention to suspicious links. Don't click on suspicious links or download on unexpected attachment. If you receive an email, maybe from somebody that you don't really know, with links in it, or asking you to download something, you really have to be careful what you are clicking on and what you're downloading. Because what happens is that with the phishing attack, an attacker will craft an email with a malicious link that they embed into it. So I will craft an email enticing you to do something, and I will tell you, okay, click on this link to get it, or I'll advertise a free something for free, maybe a free software or something that I think that you'll be interested in, and I'll craft an email that encourages you to click on the link to get access to it. So you will be clicking on that link thinking that you are going to get access to it. Maybe you will be getting access to that thing, but what happens at the background is that when you want to click on that link, right, I have a malware that is configured to install automatically on your system. Yeah, so the malware will be installed on your system and you don't actually know that that's what has happened. So you have to pay attention to the links that you click. Make sure you verify the emails that you verify the sender of the email that you receive to make sure that it's actually coming from somebody that you know and you know what the email is about before you click on the links that are in that email, right? You also have to look for signs of phishing such as misspelling. This one is very common with phishing attacks. You have misspelling in the in the URL. So for example, if I ask you to visit in that email, I'm asking you to visit a website, right? A website like, let's say I ask you to visit a website and that website URL would have some kind of misspelling in it. So let's say, let me go to Google, right? Okay, let me say I want you to visit google.com. google.com. So what happens is I'm asking you to visit google.com in that email. But what I would do in that email is this. Instead of typing google.com, if I'm a malicious user, I'm convincing you that if you click to Google, follow this Google link and access something, right? What I can do in that email, what I can do is that I can create a fake website. I will create a fake domain name with google.com, right? You, when reading that email and the link, you will not pay attention to this. Can you see the difference between these two?
Yes.
You can see the difference, right? I'm using three. Here I'm using three letters, right?
3 zeros.
Instead of 2 zeros. Now what happens is that as somebody who is just naive and doesn't actually know how these things work, when I send that in an email to you as a link and you see google.com, you will not pay attention to these 3 letters. You will just read google.com and you click on it, right? Everybody trusts Google. So because I know that people trust Google, I'm going to use something like google.com or facebook.com, but I will change something. If I don't want it to be noticed, if I think that this one will quickly be noticed, I can leave the 20, but what I can do here is I can change this character to something else. There are different characters. In other videos, in subsequent videos, you are going to discuss about, I'm going to show you how you can change this character. It will still be E, but it will not be the letter E that the system recognizes. You understand? So you look at it on google.com, you see, okay, it is well spelled, but then I would have changed this letter E to something else. You are seeing letter E, but the system is reading another character. So when you click on that link, it will not take you to google.com, it will take you to the link that I have set for you to visit. And when you visit that link, maybe I'm going to ask you to put in your name and your password. When you put your name and your password to your account, that information comes directly to me. Once I receive that information, boom, I can have access to your Google account. I can have access to any account that you provided the details to. So those are the dangers. When you go to visit, when you receive an email like that, you want to make sure that you are checking the spelling in the URL, and also you are checking the spelling in the body of text. What I notice is that scammers usually make spelling errors. Most of them are people that don't even know English, how to write English properly, so they will do a lot of spelling errors. So if you read the body of text closely, you might find out that you have spelling errors. A serious person will check their emails, they will check their spellings before they send, especially in a company. Right? If there's an employee that is sending that is an email that is going to the company, to another company employee, they will make sure that everything is correctly spelled and that everything is set in order. So those are things that you have to check to when you receive an email or a text that has links asking you to click on something or click to download something. You have to check these things to make sure that you are not clicking on malicious links. Okay, another thing you have to do is to secure your devices and your network. To secure your devices and network, we use a firewall to protect your network. Network protection, one of the most important things or devices that we use is a firewall. A firewall helps to... Do you know what a firewall does? Any idea?
Let me say it's scan incoming and outgoing
Yes.
data or stuffs coming into the network and filters those going out of the network.
Yes.
It's like a shelter.
Exactly. So what a firewall does is exactly what you've explained. So you have a firewall here, you have your network here, right? Now, traffic has to come from the internet. This is the internet here. Traffic has to come from the internet to your network. Without the firewall, the traffic goes directly to your internet. You can have hackers coming to you have legitimate users that want to come to your network for some reason, for business reasons. But you also have hackers that are trying to come to your system, right? So what do you do to be able to make sure that only the authorized people have access to your account? What you can do is you implement a firewall protection system. When you put a firewall here, a firewall helps to monitor the traffic that comes into your network, right? So a firewall will decide which traffic gets through to your network and which traffic is blocked, right? Depending on the rules that you set, you are the one to set the rule. Okay, my network, I want this kind of traffic to pass into my network. But when you see this kind of traffic, make sure you block it. When you see this kind of traffic, make sure you block it. This is the work of a firewall. This is the work of a firewall. There are other controls that we can use, like the IDS and the IPS, which we will discuss in upcoming slides, which you can also use for network defense. So that's for network defense. Now another thing that we can do is to change our default passwords on routers and OIT devices. If you buy a router that you're going to configure, you know what a router is? Does anyone know what a router is? What's a router?
Yes, a networking device that determines the shortest path or controls the field. Determines the path of data.
Yes,
network.
Yes, exactly. It's the networking device that routes data, right? It's the one that determines the shortest path that your request will take to get to your destination and gets back to you. So routers are used to connect networks. I know we are already getting into networking, which is not supposed to be part of this video, but for us to be clear, and for others who do not know exactly what because I don't want to be discussing about things that people don't really understand. A router is a device that connects multiple networks. So you have a network here, you have another network here, you have another network here. So a router is here. So if you want to connect this network, you are needing these networks to be able to communicate. In this network, we have something called a switch. You know what a switch is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in this network, we have something called a switch. A switch helps the different devices on this network to communicate, right? But
yes.
if I want this network to be able to communicate with this network, then I need a router. This is why I will now take this network and connect it to this router, right? I also take this network and connect it to this router. Take this one and connect it to this router. So now this network, different network can communicate. They not only are able to communicate within their sub networks, they can now communicate through to other networks, all right, and even out to the internet. Because internet, what is internet? Internet is simply a collection of networks. Huh? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Internet is simply a collection of networks. So a router helps you to connect one network to another network. So in your network, you will have a router. What happens is, if you buy a router from the market, it comes with a default password, because routers have passwords. Now that router will come with a default password. Some people, the mistake they make is they will set up that router to work with the default password, right? And hackers know the organizations that provide routers, and they know the kind of passwords that those routers come with. For example, if I'm using a router from Cisco, if I do a Google search, I can be able to identify, if I get to know the kind of device, the kind of router that you are using, if I get to know that you are using a router from Cisco, right? I can go to the internet and search for Cisco routers and see their default passwords. Cisco publishes that information. I see their default password. Now I can use their default password to try to break into your router. If you are using a router where you have not changed the default password, what happens is I'll be able to use the default password to log into your network. That is why it is very important when you get any new device that you want to incorporate into your network, you have to make sure you change any default password that is in that device. In this case, the router. And if you use any IoT device, they also come with a default passwords. You have to make sure you change the default password to your personal password. Create a personal password for it to make sure that your network stays safe. So that's another way to secure your network. If you are able to change this password on the router, a hacker will not be able to hack into your router, because they won't be able to know your password until they figure out a way to break your password. So the next thing we can also do is to check to use encryption. So you can encrypt your connection to make sure that unauthorized parties do not have access to your Wi-Fi, to your network, to your connections. To be able to use this encryption, we use something called HTTP, we use VPNs, and we use a secure Wi-Fi, right? What is HTTP? What does HTTP stand for?
Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure.
Yes, Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure is HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right? It's a protocol that is the protocol that our web pages use to transfer web information. So the S here, the S you see added to it simply means secure. So if you will visit a website, for example, let me see if I can visit a website so I can show you what I'm talking about. I have to do this for in case there are some of us who do not actually know these details. So if you are visiting a website, for example, if you look at the web browser, you look at the URL here, you can see what I'm demonstrating, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you check here, you will see that you have HTTPS, right? This means that this website is secure. This means that even if this website is an e-commerce website where I have to put in some sensitive information, I can be assured that this website is secure. I can be assured that there's nobody on the internet that is able to perform a man-in-the-middle attack to gain access to my personal information that I'm providing on this network. on this website. But what if I come to a website that does not have this S, it only has HTTP? It means that it is not secured. It means that this website is not secured. Which means if I'm going to provide some sensitive information on this website, there is a risk that someone in the internet is carrying out what we call man in the middle attack and is gaining access to my and can gain access to my sensitive data, right? So if you have a website that has HTTP without S, make sure you don't put your sensitive data on that website. Just make sure you avoid it. So that's what HTTP S stands for. The S, like I said, simply means it is secure. And VPN, what is a VPN?
Virtual private network.
Virtual private network.
It creates a secure canal or trunk for communication at both ends.
Yes, exactly. It creates a secure channel between you and your target network. Say, for example, if you become a professional in cybersecurity, you've gotten a certification and you apply for jobs, and a company hires you to work as a remote worker, a remote employee. Okay, now you have to work from home. How do you connect to your system? How do you connect to their network? Or even you are working as a freelancer and you are trying to get jobs from different people over the internet, right? You have to somehow be able to connect to their systems, to be able to scan their systems, do pen testing and all that stuff. You need a VPN. A VPN allows you to safely connect to to company network, right? This is you here with your computer, and this is the company network here. Now the VPN creates a safe canal here, right? VPN. It creates a safe canal for you to be able to connect to the company environment without risking exposing sensitive information or company information. So hackers who want to sniff the network will not be able to sniff the network because the VPN is protecting. This VPN, if you're employed, this VPN will be provided to you by your employer, so you can connect to the system. So that's what a VPN is. Also, you should be able to use you should be using VPNs if you are connecting to a free Wi-Fi, a public Wi-Fi. Make sure you use VPN. That free VPNs, like we talked about the antivirus, right? Like we're talking about antivirus, there are also free VPNs that you can use to connect to. You can use to safely connect to Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi's. So if you are going to use a public Wi-Fi, make sure you use a VPN. Turn on a VPN on your computer or on your Android device before you start connecting to any Wi-Fi network. Make sure you are using a VPN. Secure network. If you are setting a network environment, sorry guys, let me see what I just did. If you have a network environment, you're setting a Wi-Fi network, there are several ways to secure that network. You have to make sure you secure it with a strong password and all the processes that you need to follow to be able to make sure that your network is secure. You have to make sure you do everything to make sure that network is secure, because if it is not secure, that simply means you have a vulnerability, which means an attacker can simply get into your network, steal information, disrupt your network, and do anything that they want to do, right? So make sure your network is secured by always visiting HTTP sites, using VPN when you want to connect to a public Wi-Fi. Turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi when you're not using it. This one is very important. People will hack you. If people want to hack your Android device, the first thing they start checking is if you have some kind of Wi-Fi. If you are connected to some kind of Wi-Fi, or you have a Bluetooth on. If you have your Bluetooth on, it will be easy for them to crack into your Bluetooth and get into your device. So make sure your Bluetooth is turned off. Turn off your Bluetooth if you are not using it. Only turn it on when you're using it, and your Wi-Fi also. Regular backups. Backup important files regularly, both cloud and offline. What is cloud? Does anyone know what cloud is?
Not quite.
Okay. Cloud computing, we will talk about cloud computing in future videos, but cloud simply means you're saving your information somewhere on over the internet. Means somebody somewhere over the internet is providing you a database or a computer for you to be able to store your information there and gain access to them anytime that you want. So we have Google, we have Google Cloud, where you can save your information. You know, when you have a Google account, you have access to a database where you can back up your information on Google, right? Google Drive. So we have Google Drive where you can store your information, and then we have Google Drive, and then we have OneDrive. OneDrive is on Microsoft. We also have AWS. Amazon Web Services. These are services that offer you cloud-based storage and services. We'll talk, like I said, we'll talk more about cloud computing in a different video further in the future. But if you have a Google account, you already have access to a safe database where you can save your information and back up your information. So instead of keeping files on your computer, if you have sensitive files that you don't want attackers to be able to lay their hands on or delete, you can save them on Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. When you back them up, what happens is when you back up these files, if for some reason an attacker is able to hack into your system, into your computer, and delete your files, you can simply go on to Google Drive and download the files from there, right? You go to your backup and download from there. So online services are not the only way you can back up devices. You can also back up devices, your sensitive data with hard drives. You can back it up with hard drives, pen drives, anything that can store information. But the only problem with hard drives is that these physical drives, you should be able to keep them in a safe place also. So if you back up your data on an external hard drive and somebody is still able to steal that hard drive, which means your data is still not secure. So make sure you back up your data and use encryption on encrypted data. If you're backing up your data on a hard drive, you can make sure that you encrypt that hard drive to protect sensitive data. So if the hard drive is encrypted, even somebody steals your hard drive, they won't be able to have access to the data that you backed up on the hard drive. So it will be useless to them. You have to make sure that you test your backups to ensure that they can be restored if needed. If you're saving your information on Google Drive, you know that at any point and time that you need that information, you can have access to that information. Right? If you're saving it through to a physical drive, make sure that the physical drive is in a place where you can get access to at any time that you need that information. So whenever you want to restore that information, make sure that the information is available for you to install. Like I said before, we talked about the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is the availability part, right? This is the availability part of the cybersecurity, backing up information. When you back up information, you are trying to make sure that even something happens to your network, you still have information available. Availability part of CIA triad. So another thing that you need to pay attention to is your browsing habits. You have to make sure your browsing habits are safe. Use secure and reputable websites. Then we talked about HTTP. Only visit websites that are HTTPS. Don't use websites that only have HTTP without the S. The S means it is secure. So avoid downloading files from untrusted website. Like I talked about when I was talking about giving the example of downloading graphic design software. I talked about downloading Photoshop. You are going to download something that is free from a website that is not trusted, that you don't trust. So when you download files from there, what happens is that that website can give you a software that has malware embedded into it. So that's the reason why you generally have to avoid using untrusted websites. So you also have to use browser extensions that can enhance security, like ad blockers. You can use ad blockers. There are several ad blockers that you can use to block ads. Like we talk about those ads that will be keep popping up. You can block those ads so that you don't keep being bombarded with ads. And also there are softwares that are meant to track you. You can have the anti-trackers that you can use also. So now let's move on to cybersecurity tools. As a cybersecurity professional, there are a lot of tools that you need to learn how to use, because those are the tools that we use to safeguard our networks, data, and systems. So cybersecurity professionals use various tools to protect systems, networks, and data from threats. These tools serve functions like threat detection, vulnerability assessment, network security, endpoint protection, and incident response. Below is an overview of key cybersecurity tools by category. So, network security tools. Let's start with network tools that you can use for network security. We already talked about firewalls, right? Now, firewall controls incoming and outgoing traffic based on security rules. These are rules that you set in the firewall, telling the firewall what kind of network, what kind of traffic you want to allow into your network, and what kind of traffic you don't want to get into your network. Now, there are some popular firewalls out there. The popular one that we know in cybersecurity sphere is PFSense. PFSense. This one, I'm sure we're going to have a video where we actually see how to use PFSense in the future. There's also Fortinet. There are several brands. There are several brands out there, several companies out there that offer this. Even Cisco does that also. So there are different firewalls out there. Firewall is one tool that professionals will use to safeguard a network. Now, another tool is IDS and IPS. Now, what is IDS and IPS? And IDS stands for Intrusion Detection System, right? Intrusion Detection System. And IPS stands for Intrusion Prevention System. Detect and prevent unauthorized activities. That's what they do on the network. IDS and IPS. They either detect and prevent unauthorized access to your network. Now, let me draw something here so you can understand. So, in a network, we have an IPS. Now, this is my network. This is my company. This is the gate to my company. Now, in this gate, I have a security personnel. Right, this kind of drawing. I have a security personnel. This is an IDS. Let's say this is an IDS system.
This?
Yes, go ahead.
This? I can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen?
I can see the screen.
Okay, let me see. Let me check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what's happening here. You still cannot see my screen?
Okay, I can see now.
Okay, you can see my screen now. Okay, let's move on. Let's
Yes.
move on. Okay, as I was saying, we have a company. I have my company, and at the gate of my company, I have a security guard. Let's say, for example, this security guard is an IDS system that I implemented, intrusion detection system. What he does is, this is an intruder coming. Sorry. We have an intruder here. Somebody is here coming into my network, right? This person have, let's say this person is coming into my network with a gun in hand. The intrusion detection system, what it does is, it's going to see this and say, it's going to call you and say, hey, come, somebody is coming with a gun. So that's all it does. It creates an alarm based on based on what you've set for, based on the way you set it to function. It creates an alarm. Say, hey, there's a malicious person coming in with a gun. Come and see what is happening here. So now you have to get into the system and check what is actually happening. So that's all what it does. Intrusion detection, it only detects that something is going wrong, and it gives you alert, right? It creates an alarm for you to come in and check. So, but the difference with the intrusion detection and the intrusion prevention is that the prevention system can actually stop this guy. It kicks this guy out, right? So instead of just shouting and saying, hey, please come and see somebody is coming into the network, is going to stop this guy and say, no, you are not allowed here, get out. That is what the prevention system does. So depending on how you want your network to function, you can either set the intrusion detection system or intrusion prevention system. There are some of them will do both. They will detect and prevent. For the intrusion prevention system, what it does is that it detects and it prevents. But the intrusion detection system will only detect and gives an alarm. This one will protect and gives you an alarm and send you a message. Say, okay, this person will try to log in. I detected that it's a malicious user. I stopped them from entering into the system. This is the record. But this one will only give you a record saying, hey, this is somebody trying to get into the system. Please come and check. So the software that we use here as intrusion detection and prevention system are Snort and Suricata. These are some of the popular ones. I'm hoping that we'll have videos that will talk about these ones in the future. So for now, this is just an introduction. We also have Zig, so it's another one. There are many of them out there. So that's what intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems do. So let me try to clear the screen. Let me see if I can clear the screen. Well, I don't know what is happening. That thing is not functioning anymore. So let's just go ahead and so we have some scanning tools, right? Tools that we use to scan the network. They help to identify open ports and vulnerabilities. Tools we use are Nmap, Netcat, Angry IP Scanner. This is Nmap. This is the logo of Nmap, and this is Netcat. This is Angry IP. Angry IP is a vulnerability scanner. It's a vulnerability scanning tool that can help you scan your a range of IP addresses, and it will scan those IP addresses and tell you if there are any kind of vulnerabilities on those systems. So it will report to you, and then you can go in and see how to fix them. And then this Nmap is a very powerful network scanning tool that we are going to learn how to use. This one is very important. We are going to learn how to use it. this Nmap. And what I wanted to ask a question. Ports. When we say identify open ports, what are open ports? Do you know what? Do you people know what open? Do you know what ports are? Talking about internet connection.
No. Ports are those openings or accesses. Like I know of the port for HTTPS, which is I think it's 8081 or 8082, stuff like that. And then you have internet connection ports, but they are the open, exploitable, or yes, I think exploitable, yes.
Yes.
They are the exploitable or the accessible openings on the for access on the internet.
Yes, exactly, exactly. That's exactly what they do. Ports are simply the doors that give you access to certain applications. Every application has a port. Messaging applications have a port, and HTTP has a port. HTTPS also has a port, right? So if somebody wants to hack you through HTTP, they will have to use the HTTP port. If when you go to the internet and you are searching for information through, if you visit Google to search for information, you are using the HTTP port, and Google is going to send you a reply to that HTTP port, and that port now will display the information on your web browser. So those ports are the doors that hackers can also attack to get into your system. So as a network engineer, you should be able to scan your network and see what ports are open, because it's when ports are open that it is easy for attackers to get into your network through those using those ports. So you have to scan your network to find out which ports are open and which ones are closed. So if you are going to do penetration testing for a client, you have to scan their network to see which ports are open, which ports are vulnerable, which systems are vulnerable. So when you scan this, the Nmap tool is going to give you which ports are open, which ones are closed, which ones are filtered. When we get to start scanning network with Nmap, and then I'll begin to explain what open port means, what filtered port means, and what closed ports mean. So for now, just know that Nmap is the tool that we are going to be using to scan network. We are also going to use Netcard, but the most important one I want you guys to know is Nmap. So let's move on. Endpoint security tools. These tools protect individuals' devices, workstations, servers, mobile devices from malware and other threats. So when we say endpoint, what we simply mean is your laptop, your desktop, your smartphone that you use to connect to a network. That's an endpoint. So to protect your personal computer, or to protect your endpoint device, we use tools like antivirus, like we discussed before, the Malwarebytes. We use anti-malware to detect and remove malicious softwares. An example of that is the Windows Defender. This one is a default malware scanner for Windows. So if you have a Windows operating system, you should already have Windows Defender. And then there's also Bitdefender. This is the logo for Bitdefender. This is the logo for Bitdefender. And there's also endpoint detection and response, which provides advanced threat detection and response. CrowdStrike is a good example of that. And then we also have Microsoft Defender for endpoint. That one is different from Microsoft Defender for Windows. Is different from Windows Defender. So these are the tools that you get to know about as you do your job as a cybersecurity professional. So moving on, we have vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This is my favorite. This is the stuff that I like to talk about, because what I'm focusing on is penetration testing, ethical hacking. So these are the tools that we use as penetration testers. These tools identify and test vulnerabilities in systems, network, and application. So we have Nessus. Nessus is a vulnerability scanner. It's just like the angry IP that I talked about. Nessus is a robust vulnerability scanner that we use to detect weaknesses in system. So in future videos, we are also going to I'm also going to show how we install, configure, and use Nessus to scan network and computer devices. Another one is OpenVAS. Also, Nessus has a free version, right? It has a free version and a paid version. I'm going to show you how to use that. And OpenVAS is a free tool also, very powerful, that you use to scan network, IT devices, and IP addresses. What they do is they will scan the system, look for all the vulnerabilities that are available on that system. They will categorize the vulnerabilities from the highest, which is the most critical, to the lowest, which is the least critical. And then they will also give you recommendations on how to fix those weaknesses, those vulnerabilities, how to patch those vulnerabilities. So they will give you a step-by-step process on what you need to do to be able to fix those vulnerabilities. So if you become a vulnerability manager in a company, this is what you'll be doing. Your job will be to scan the network for vulnerabilities, categorize the vulnerability, and then make a report to the IT team, right? Because if you're scanning a software, your software is developed by developers, right? So when you scan the software, you see the vulnerabilities, you have to make a report. Say, okay, this is what I found, this is the technique that I used to scan, this is what I found, and this is what you need to do to be able to make sure that the system is secure. So this is what you do as a vulnerability manager uh, in a company. Now, penetration testing tools, what they do is they simulate attacks to assess security. So we use tools like Kali Linux. This is Kali Linux here. You can see my mouse moving, right?
Yes, yes, I can
Yes.
see.
This is Kali Linux. Kali Linux is the operating system that we'll be using. It's the most popular operating system that hackers use. So in cybersecurity, this is the most popular operating system. There are some tools that you can use on Windows, but for a pen tester, a professional ethical hacker, you need to know how to use Kali Linux. There's also operating system like Parrot OS, which you also learn how to use. There's Red Hat, there are so many others, but we have to get familiar with Kali Linux first, and then we'll move on to learning others secondary. And then Metasploit is a framework that we use for exploiting vulnerabilities. So if you scan a system, you scan a target system, and you find out that there has a certain vulnerability, how do you gain access to that to the network using that vulnerability? Metasploit is that tool that is going to help us crack into the system through that vulnerability. Metasploit, you have videos coming up on Metasploit in the future. Web application vulnerability scanners, they help us to identify web apps vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities in web application. This is another area that you can focus on as a cybersecurity personnel. You can become a web application pen tester. It is highly paid, right? It is highly paid. If you go to the internet and search for jobs as web application pen tester, you will see the salaries that companies are offering. These are the tools that we use. We use tools like OpenVAS. Oh, sorry, we use that OWASP. OWASP is a free tool that cybersecurity professionals use to scan web applications. We have Acquinetics used to scan web application. It gives you all the vulnerabilities that are on that web application, and it also gives you recommendations on how to go about remediating those vulnerabilities. Another one, in when we talk about web application scanning and pen testing, this is the king, Burp Suite. Burp Suite. I'm going to make another video on Burp Suite, and I'm going to make another video where we only talk about Burp Suite, but that will be in the future. Burp Suite is kind of the most popular tool and most robust tool when it comes to web application penetration testing. So as an ethical hacker, you need to know how to use these tools. And then we also have Nikto. Nikto is a command line tool that we use from Kali Linux. We'll also learn how to use that. Security information and event management. SIM. These are tools that you will use. The SIM simulates SIM, which stands for Security Information and Event Management. These are solutions that collect and analyze security data from multiple sources to detect threats. Okay, say for example, in a company you have like 1,000 devices, and this each device has registers a log of things that happen, of events that happen on that computer. So how do you monitor these 1,000 devices? You have to find a way to monitor them in one place. So it's when if you implement a SIM solution, it will help you to collect collect the logs from different systems on your network into a simplified and unified location where you can analyze the events and see what is happening in your network. The most popular tool that we use for that is Splunk. So if company that want to hire cybersecurity analysts or SOC analysts, SOC stands for Security Operations Center. When they want to employ a SOC analyst, they will always ask if you know how to use Splunk, because Splunk is a tool that is the SIM tool that they use, is the most popular SIM tool that they use in SOC environment. So let's quickly move on. We have digital forensic tools. These tools help to investigate and respond to cyber incidents. For example, if somebody commits a crime, if somebody commits a digital crime, what happens is authorities will maybe arrest this person and they seize their computer or their phone, and then they need to be able to find evidence to prove that this person is actually guilty of the crime. Digital forensics are the people that come in play at this point. They will be hired to do digital forensic investigation on the device. So the tools that they will use is tools like autopsy. They will recover and analyze compromised systems. You can check your emails, your WhatsApp chats, your messages, and your drives to see what information that you, even if it's information that you've deleted, these tools are able to dig out that information and bring them out. Another one that they use is volatility. Volatility is used for memory analysis. So there is used for analyzing RAM memory. So if you say if somebody commits a crime and their system is seized, right? There's some information that is stored on RAM. If there's information that is stored on RAM, in order to get access to that information and be able to analyze it, you need to use tool like volatility. Hopefully we'll have videos on these tools in the future also. Security frameworks. What are cybersecurity frameworks? Cybersecurity framework is a standardized set of practices, procedures, and best practices designed to help organizations identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover from cyber threats. They provide structured guidelines for organizations to manage and reduce risk. They serve as blueprints for implementing security best practices, ensuring compliance and regulations and enhancing overall security posture. In simple terms, what cybersecurity frameworks do is they provide a structured guideline for organizations to manage and reduce risk. So they'll give you the different steps that you need to follow to be able to implement cybersecurity risk reduction in a production environment. So let's see some of these tools or some of this framework. So these are some of the things that they do. The risk management, they help organizations to assess and mitigate risk. They ensure adherence to legal and industry specific security requirements. Standardization, they establish consistent security controls and practices. They improve security posture, reduce vulnerabilities, and enhance resilience against cyber threats. Business continuity, they ensure quick recovery from cyber incidents. The first one is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. It's developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. The NIST Cybersecurity provides a flexible approach to cybersecurity risk management. It consists of 5 core functions with an extra one that was newly added. So NIST cybersecurity, as you can see, like I said, it has 5 core functions. We have the first one is to identify, then we have the protect, detect, respond, and recover. And then the newly added is the govern. Hopefully we'll be having another video where we'll go into detail discussing this framework, because this is one of the most popular frameworks that is used by companies around the globe. So moving on, these are the core functions that I mentioned. The first one is to identify. It understands assets. It helps you to understand assets, risk, and vulnerability. That's what it means to identify. If you're going to protect something, you first of all need to identify what you're protecting. So at this stage, they will give you the steps to assess your network, assess the risk and vulnerability, right? And then to protect, the next step is protecting. Implement safeguards to protect critical assets. This is what you do on the protect stage. Detect stage, we have to develop capabilities to identify cybersecurity events. We'll implement systems that will identify cybersecurity events. So respond, if something happens, what do we do? Establish incident response strategies. Recover, when we respond, and then we have to make sure we recover from the breach. We plan for resilience and recover from incident response. Another framework we have is the ISO. IEC 20001, an internationally recognized standard for information security management system. ISO has different standards, right? ISO has several standards, but for security, for information security, this is the one that we follow. Companies follow 27001. Security management systems. It provides a risk-based approach to securing data. It includes information security policies, access management, access control, identity management, compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. That's ISO. Then we have the CIS. CIS stands for Center for Internet Security. It is used to prioritize a set of security best practices to defend against cyber threats. It consists of 18 critical security controls, which is inventory and control of hardware and software, secure configuration of enterprise assets, continuous vulnerability management, security awareness training, incident response and management. That is for CIS. Then you have the PIC DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, designed for businesses that handle credit card transactions. PCI focuses on securing payment data. It includes network security controls, strong access controls, measures, regular monitoring and testing, encryption of sensitive information. This framework is for people that offer payment card services, for banks, people that accept payments online and stuff like that. COBITE is an IT governance framework that integrates cybersecurity with overall business objectives. It helps organizations align cybersecurity with business goals, establish compatibility for security rules or accountability for security rules, implement a risk-based approach to security. That's COBITE. You can read about COBITE on the internet on Google. And then we have HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's a US law that protects sensitive health information, PHI, by setting rules for privacy, security, and breach notification. It applies to healthcare providers, insurance, and business associates. Handling patient data. So every organization that handles patient data, they are supposed to comply with this framework. They are supposed to follow this framework. Organizations must implement administrative, physical, and technical safeguards to ensure or to secure electronic health records and avoid hefty fines for non-compliance. HIPAA privacy rules controls who can access protect health information. Security rules, they require safeguards, administrative, physical, and technical to protect electronic PHI, personal health information. Breach notification mandates that organizations notify affected individuals, regulators, and some cases the media in case of a data breach. So if you are an organization that handles PHI, which is personal health information, you have, if you suffer a breach, you have to notify the affected individuals. You have to make the individuals know that your data has been compromised, and then the regulators, the people that are regulating that industry, you have to make sure you inform them that you have suffered from a breach, and then you have to make sure also you publish that information to the media. Some companies, what they do is when they suffer a breach, they tend to hide that information because they don't want to damage their reputation. But if you do that, if a company does that, then they will be fined by the regulatory bodies, and the fines are usually very huge. Thank you for paying attention. Is there any question so far?
No.
Yes, we are about to end up. We are about to wrap up, guys. So let's just finish up. Cybersecurity pathways. So cybersecurity is a broad field with many career paths, right? Each require different skill set and expertise. So here are some of them. Security analysts. These people are the people that monitor network for security breaches. They investigate security incidents. They implement security measures like firewalls and encryptions. Perform vulnerability assessment and risk analysis. That's for security analysts. So when you search for jobs online, when you see a job for security analyst, these are some of the things that you have to be doing on that job. And then we have penetration testers or ethical hackers. They simulate cybersecurity attacks to test a security defense. So they are the ones that they actually attack the system, just like a hacker will do, to see if the system is weak, to see if there's a vulnerability in the system. They identify system vulnerabilities, and then they provide the recommendation for improving security posture. So after attacking the system and getting to know exactly what is the weakness that is associated with that system, you have to make a report to the organization owner or to your employer, telling them exactly what they need to do to be able to fix the vulnerabilities. All this you will be doing with tools that like some of the tools that we've mentioned before. All you need to do is learn those tools, learn how to use them, learn the methodology, and that's all. You're good to go. So if you want to work as a security engineer, you have to be designing and implementing security solutions, configure firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and security protocols. Work on security architecture and automation. So you are the one designing the secure systems, secure network for the company. This is what you do as a security engineer. Incident response. You are investigating security breaches, analyzing attack patterns to prevent future incidents, and you also work on disaster recovery and forensic analysis. Security consultant advises organizations on best practices, conducts security assessment and audits, develops security policies and compliance strategies. So an organization will hire you as a consultant to come and audit their system. You audit the system, you conduct a security assessment and see where they are lacking, and then you have to give them advice also on best practices, and then you can hire you to develop policies, cybersecurity policies for the company. Cloud security. So for companies that operate in the cloud, like Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, so companies that operate in the cloud, they can hire you to secure that cloud environment, right? You'll be implementing identity and access management, which is what you need to learn if you want to work as a cloud security person. Also, ensure compliance with cloud security framework. There are also cloud security frameworks that they need to comply with if you're using the cloud platform. Security manager. As a security manager, you oversee security teams. So you'll be managing security teams and operations, develop security policies and compliance with frameworks. And then you also have to manage cybersecurity budget and strategic planning. So you are like the boss of the cybersecurity department. You are managing everything. Chief Information Security Officer oversees security teams and operations, right? So you communicate the security risks to executives. So the Chief Information Security Officer is the one that will take everything that the pen tester, the security head manager has done, all the reports. He's the one that takes this report and is able to communicate that report to the executives and stakeholders of the company. Ensure regulatory and compliance adherence. That's the work of the Chief Information Security Officer. Threat intelligence. Gather and analyze threats data. It identifies emerging cyber threats. Help organizations to proactively defend against cyber attacks. Digital forensics. Like we talked about digital forensics before, we talked about autopsy and volatility. So as a digital forensic personnel or investigator, those are the tools that you'll be using to accomplish this. Analyze cybercrime evidence, work with law enforcement on cyber investigation, recovers lost or compromised data. So as an investigator in digital forensic, your job is not only to fight to investigate criminal evidence. You can also use your skills to recover data, lost data. Somebody can come to you and say, okay, I had this data very important on my computer and somehow the data was deleted, I don't know how, and I want to recover it. You can use your skills to recover that data for that person and then make money from it. Cybersecurity certifications. This is where you ask your question. Certification pathways in cybersecurity vary based on career goals, experience level, and specialization. So let me give you, we'll talk about the options. These certifications are ideal for those new to cybersecurity and or transitioning from IT. So if you're somebody that's completely new to cybersecurity and you want your entrance level cyber certification, these are some of the certifications that you can go for. The most popular one, and which is the one that I recommend if you want to be serious with cybersecurity, is the CAMTCHA Security Plus. The CAMTCHA Security Plus happens to be the most popular security certification for entry-level security certification that jobs posters are asking for. If you go to search for security jobs on the internet, you will find out that like 70% of the time you will find that they will be asking for this certification. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, the screen is here. I'm seeing your screen.
Okay, so you can go for that certification, or you can go for certified in cybersecurity. This one is offered by IC Squared. It's another company that offers training for cybersecurity and certification. IC Squared. So this one is new and it's free. It's free. This one is actually free for now. I think it's going to be free for a while because when I took the course, I think their goal was to give, I think it was 1 million people free certification, free entry level certification. So I believe that course should still be available. But the reason why I've not gone for the certification is because when I wanted to sit for the certification, I think they told me that the only center I have in Cameroon is in Yaoundé. So I had to make plans to go to Yaoundé to take that exam. So I had to put that on hold. So for those of you who are in Yaoundé, it will be easy for you if you take the course. It's completely online and self-paced. When you register and you take the course, when you finish taking the course, there are practice questions that you can go through. You can even go to YouTube and search for practice question on CC exam and practice, and then you can register to for the exam. Then you can go and sit for the exam. And then another certification that you can go for is a Cisco certified CyberOps associate, a good option for those interested in securing or security operations role, which you can also go for if you want. So those are entry level certifications. And then these other certifications are advanced level certification. These certifications are for professionals with a basic understanding of security who want to advance. Like you've gained the basics of cybersecurity, right? And then you want to move ahead. Mind you, when we talk about basic level cybersecurity, like entrance certification, what you'll be discussing there is exactly what we've been discussing from the beginning of this video. It's everything that I've talked about. You are going to see if you're going to take a training on those entry level certifications. You are going to see all what we've discussed about. It's going to be part of that training. Advanced certifications. The most popular of them is CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. This one is provided by an organization called EC Council. EC Council. So you can, I think this video has been very long, so I will not go to the internet to search, but we can always do that. You can always go to Google and search for EC Council. They have a lot of certifications that they provide, but one of their most popular certifications is the CEH, Certified in Ethical Hacking, or Certified Ethical Hacker. So if you're a pen tester, I think this is the certification that you have to go for. It covers penetration testing and ethical hacking techniques. People who want to hire ethical hackers, these are the certification. This is the certification that we normally ask for. The majority will ask for this. And then you have CAMTIA pen test. It's the equivalent of this, but it's offered by CAMTIA also. The same people that offer the Security Plus. And then you have the GIAC Security Essential. It's a more technical certification for those waiting or those who want hands-on knowledge. So those are the certifications, those are the logos. So here, more advanced certification. These are managerial level certification. These are suited for those aiming for senior or specialized cybersecurity roles. This one, these two you see here, CISP. This, if you ask any security professional, they will tell you this is considered the chief of them all, the chief of all security certification. CISP. It's like the summit, the highest level you can go in cybersecurity certification right now. CISP, Certified Information System Security Professional, one of the most respected certification for cybersecurity management and strategy. So if you want to work as a cybersecurity manager, as a chief information security officer, these are some of the certification that they will ask of you. And then another one we have is Certified Information Security Manager. It focuses on information security and governance and testing already also. So these are managerial level certification. There are other certifications out there, but these are just the most popular ones that you hear security professionals talk about in cybersecurity domain. And then more technical certifications. These are suited for those aiming for senior or specialized cybersecurity roles. For those who want to specialize in cloud security, we talk about cloud security, operating companies that operate in cloud platforms. They have needs to protect their cloud environment. A cloud security professional is a person that protects or implement cybersecurity practices in a cloud environment. This certification is what you should go for. Right, this certification is what you should go for. CCSP, Certified Cloud Security Professional, best for cloud security roles. And then Offensive Security Certified Professional, a hands-on certification for penetration testers. As penetration testers, maybe you've done the CEH, the Certified Ethical Hacker, and you've worked for a number of years and you want to advance your skills. That's where you start looking at Offensive Security Certified Professional. This one, pretty advanced, but I wouldn't advise you to go for this now. You have to learn the basics, gain some entry level certification, and then before you go to the advanced stuff. But I'm recommending that because of the price tag that is associated with these certifications. If you want to go for something for a certification, go straight to the mid-level certifications. Like we talk about the CEH, right? If you want to go for something, go for this level. Though you have to learn things like the basic stuff like networking, how internet operates and stuff like that. But those are things that you can learn from YouTube videos. You can learn from YouTube videos and it will give you an upper hand when you go into the certification courses. If you learn this, you don't have to have Security Plus to be able to get this certification. And without the Security Plus, you can have jobs just with this as a pen tester, ethical hacker. And the training that I'm taking, which I'm going to share the link, you are going to see that when you complete that training, you can handle any kind of job role. You are not only going to work as a pen tester, you can work as a vulnerability manager, you can work as a consultant, you can work as a network security personnel, you can work as a system engineer. So let's see what you have left here. So for entry level certifications that we talked about this Security Plus, you can talk about the CC and the CyberOps from Cisco. If you want to specialize in penetration testing, go for CEH, and then after that you go for the Offensive Security Certified Professional, or you do the pen testing, the pen test plus. And then if you are interested in management, you want to be a manager, security manager, you can go for System Information Security Professional, or you go for the Certified Information System Security Professional, which we talk about. Like I said before, this one happens to be the chief of all the certification in cybersecurity. These are the managerial level certification. If you want to be a manager, these are the certifications that you need to hold. You can hold any one of these. If you have this, it's okay. You have this, it's still okay. But there are people that go for both of them. If you want to work in a cloud security environment, you need to have CCSP, Certified Cloud Security Professional. Or there's another one that AWS offers. It's called AWS Security Specialty. If you are aiming for leadership, like I said, you have the CISP, or you have the the Certified Chief Information Security Officer that is offered by EC Council, the same people that offer CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. Let me show you guys what a SOC analyst environment looks like. So if you go to Google and let's just say SOC analyst. So these are the guys that sit in front of the computer from morning to evening, looking at the computers. Logs are coming in, hundreds, thousands of logs are coming in, and they are checking to see if there's something malicious, if there's a malware somewhere that is trying to attack the system, if there's something wrong that is going on. So these are the guys. Let me see, there's an image that's clear enough. All right. Okay, let's see this. You see this image, right?
Yes, I see.
Now you can see that there are a lot of people here. These are SOC analysts.
Please excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I can't see your screen. You're not screen sharing. I don't know.
To the lady, can the other person see my screen?
Okay, it's okay now.
It's okay.
It's okay now.
Okay, okay. You can see here that this
Yeah.
image I got from Google. This is an image that shows what a SOC environment looks like. SOC, like I said, SOC simply stands for Security Operations Center. So in a SOC team, you have different SOC specialists. You have SOC analyst. Everybody that works here is a SOC analyst. And then we have different tiers: tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. All right. So the tiers represent what level of security, because they in the SOC within the SOC team they have managers too there. We'll discuss about that in the future. So as a SOC analyst, this is what you'll be doing. You're monitoring, you're sitting in front of the computer and you're monitoring the system. Yeah, maybe you're using something like a SIM tool, like we talk about this Splunk, which is the most popular SIM tool to monitor the system. You're checking what events are happening, who is logging in, who is trying to log into the system from which location, and if something malicious is happening, if there's a malware somewhere attacking the system, you are monitoring that system and trying to identify it. So a SOC analyst is the person that monitors the internet for all these threats that she's asking. But going back to our slide, like I said before, you as a professional, you need to know these things. You need to know all these things. You don't have to say, no, I'm not going to learn about the threats. I'm not going to learn about how to identify threats because I'm not going to be a SOC analyst, or I'm not going to be monitoring the network. So because I'm going to be a pen test, there's no need talking about threats. And you need to know this. And that's why all the trainings that any training you're going to see is going to talk about these threats. Right? It's going to talk about the threats. But if you specialize as a SOC analyst, your job will be to monitor the system for threats. If you specialize as a pen tester, your job will be to try to hack into systems and websites to identify vulnerabilities. If you are going to become a manager, security manager, you need to know how to pen test, you need to know how to monitor the network, you need to know a little bit of cloud security, because you are managing these teams. You have a SOC analyst team, you have a pen test, what we call red teaming. Red team is the people that do penetration testing, and then you have the blue team, that people that work in the SOC. Blue team is the people that work in the SOC, that are defending the system. Pen testers are the ones that are attacking the system. So you are the manager, you're managing all these teams. You need to know how all these people work, their jobs. Thank you for so much, and bye bye for now.
Okay, sir. Bye bye.
So, bye-bye.
All right, all right, all right.